Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are solving Leetcode problem number 48, which is going to be a rotate image, right? So what is actually given in this question is we have a square matrix, right? And all you need to do is to just rotate this matrix by 90-degree clockwise. And also I want to mention one more thing is that we don't have to return anything, right? All you need to, whatever the operation that you're going to perform, that should be in place, right? We don't have to return. We have to apply those operations through which our element gonna be swapped with another element, right? Means we don't have to make another matrix for that. So this is what the tricky part over here, right? So I just wanted to explain this how we're gonna convert this matrix into this matrix, right? So the idea that I come up with is that if I'm gonna look this you're gonna look this column, if I'm gonna look this column and this row, right? So here I come to know that each and every element of this column is there in our first row, right? If you want to see each and I'm not talking about the order of the element, I'm just talking about that the element is there in our first row. Yes, right? All the elements of our first column is present in our first row, right? And also all the element in our second column is there in our second row. Okay, so yes, I'm repeating again that I'm not talking about the order of the element, I'm just talking about the is there our element is there in our row, right? I'm talking about that the element is present in our row or not, right? Okay, I'm talking about the element, each and every element, I'm not talking about the order. Okay, so yeah, the all the elements of our third column is present in our third row, right? And here I come to know that which type of operation that I should perform so that our column gonna be converted into a row, right? Okay, I know that if we're gonna do the conversion of our column into row, and I know that we didn't get the answer, but yes, we're gonna come close to our answer, right? So okay, so we're gonna apply these operation. Okay, so to convert our column into row, we know that we have to perform transpose, right? We have already been studied in our school also, right? So if you're going to be performing a transpose, what actually happened in transpose is our column gonna be converted into row, right? Yes. So this is how we're gonna perform our transposing in matrix, right? Okay, so now I wanted to make you one more thing clear is that if this is our original matrix, right? I'm gonna make you, this is our original matrix, right? What I'm actually doing is that I'm going to take a transpose of it first of all, right? So by taking transpose, what happened, this column gonna be converted into a first row, right? Of course, right? Okay, now this column again gonna be converted into our row, right? So first of all, I'm going to take the transpose of it, and then what you have to do is that you have to reverse each and every row element of our row, right? You have to reverse each and every element of our row, and then only we're gonna get our answer, right? Means the thing that we have to do with this question is first we have to take a transpose of a matrix, right? And then what you have to do, you have to reverse each and every row, right? And then we're going to get our answer that we want. Okay, so this is what our logic is, right? And the question is that how we're going to perform the transposing and reversing operations, right? So don't worry, I'm going to explain you this also. So how we're going to do the transposing, right? So we know that if we're going to do a transpose of a matrix, our you can say diagonal element doesn't change, right? Our diagonal element doesn't going to be changed. So if you're gonna be performing a transpose of an element, so our diagonal element gonna be unaffected, right? So we are not going to consider these elements, right? So I'm going to make it like this way that we don't have to take these elements. All you need to do, if you're going to do the transpose of our element, what happened, this element is going to be swapped with this element, right? Means this one gonna be come over to take this position, right? So this is what we are doing in transposing. And also this element is going to be swapped with this element, and this element going to be swapped with this element. Similarly for this element is going to be swapped with this, and also for this, right? Or at the end we're going to have to swap this element to this element, right? And this is how we're going to do the transpose of element, right? So I'm going to write over here that how we're going to do it. So let me write it. Okay, so we're going to swap this element, right, which is at 0 comma 1th position, right? So I'm going to take it 0 comma 1th position element going to be swapped with this element, right, which is at 1 comma 0th position. So I'm going to make it 1 comma 0 position. And now we're going to have to swap this element, right, which is at 0 comma 1th position, 0 comma 2th position, which is going to be yep, swap with 2 comma 0th position element, 2 comma 0, right? And then we're gonna have to swap 0 comma 3 element, 0 comma 3 element going to be swap with 3 comma 0 in element, right? Means this element is going to be swapped with this. Now what about this element? What about this element, which is going to be swapped with this element, right? So it is at 1 comma 2th position. So I'm going to make it like 1 comma 2th position element going to be swapped with 2 comma 1th position, 2 comma 1th position. All right, and also this element is it at 1 comma 3th position, right? 1 comma 3th position going to be swapped with this element which is at 3 comma 1th position. Okay, and now at the end we have this element, right, which is at 2 comma 3th position, right? I'm going to mention a 3 comma 2 comma 3th position, which is going to be a swap with this 3 comma 2th element, right? So 3 comma I'm mention over here like 3 comma 2th position. Okay, so why I'm writing this, right? Why I'm writing this? I just wanted to make you to analyze this pattern. We have to analyze the pattern and then only we're going to come up with the conclusion. Okay, so what actually we are doing, or what actually we, by analyzing this pattern, what we come up with is that if this is going to be our ith index or this is going to be our jth index. So here we come to know, the first thing that we come to know is that our I comma jth index is going to be turned out, or you can say changed to j comma ith index, right? Yes, so the first thing that we come to know that I comma j is going to be swapped with j comma I, right? And the second or most important thing that we here come to know is that if for example, if our I, and here I'm going to be talking about j, right? If our I is 0, right? If our I is 0, then what about j? J gonna be moved from 1 to 3, right? So j is going to be moved from 1, then 2, and then 3, right? And if our I is 1, okay, if our I is 1, then our j is going to be moved from 2 to 3, right? Okay, and now if our I is 2, and in this case our j is going to move to 3. Okay, so from this here we come to know that if we're going to start our I pointer from 0 to 2, so this is how our j pointer going to move. And here I come to know that yes, j is inside the I, means j is going to be inside the I, or you can say, or inside the for loop, right? Okay, this is the second thing that I also come to know, that if we have to move our I pointer, for example, I have to move our I pointer from 0 to how much if we're talking about the you can say the order of this matrix is 4 comma 4, right? So let's suppose if I so our I is moving to 2, right? So what I have to write over here, right? 3, right? We have to write over here is 3, right? And we know that that 3 is not included. If I'm talking about for loop, so there we know that our last index is not included. So in that case we know that our I will be moved from 0, 1 and 2 only. 3 is not included. So instead of writing this 3, I'm going to write here n minus 1, isn't it? Okay, so if I'm talking about the order of the matrix is n, so we have to move our I pointer to 0 to n minus 1, right? And what about j? J is started from I plus 1, isn't it? Yep. J is moving from I plus 1. If our I is 0, then J is moved from 1. Okay, if our I is 1, then J is start moving from 2, right? So that is why J is start moving from I plus 1, and it will go at the end through 3, right? Which is gonna be our index. So what I have to write over here at 4, right? And we know that the last index is not going to be included in for loop. So that is why in that case what I should have to write? N, right? So this is how our I and j pointer are going to move, right? Okay, so from here we come to know that first of all our ij is ij going to be changed into j or I, and also how to move our I pointer or j pointer, right? So this is how we're going to have to do the transpose of our element, or you can say matrix, right? So this is how we have to do the transpose of matrix. Okay, so after transposing, what you have to do, you have to reverse each and every row, right? So how I'm going to do that also. Okay, after transposing, what we have to do, okay, I'm going to write here, if I'm going to do the transpose, then what we actually get. So our matrix is going to be look like this. Matrix equals to, um, yep. Okay, so if I'm going to do the transpose, what actually happen is this column is going to be converted into first row, right? Which is going to be 5, 2, 13, and 15. Okay, so we have 5, then we have 2, then we have 13, and we have 15. And now, the second column going to be our second row, which is going to be 1, 4, 3, and 14. Now we have 1, now we have 1, then we have 4, then we have 3, and we have 14. Okay, now what about our third row, right? So third row, which is going to be 9, 8, 6, and 12. 9, 8, 6, and 12. Okay, 9, 8, then we have 6, and we have 12. Okay, and then we have our last row, which is going to be 11, 10, 7, 16, right? So 11, 10, 7, and we're going to be at 16. Okay, so this is how our matrix is going to look like after transposing, right? And now what we have to do is to just reverse each and every element, right? We have to reverse each and every element of our row. We have to reverse each row, you can say each row. We have to reverse each row, right? So if I'm talking about this first row, so how are we going to reverse this first row, right? What should I have to write? Like I'm going to write like matrix, okay, of ith index, right? Which is I'm talking about the first row only. If I want to reverse the first element only, then how can I write like matrix of 0th index going to be reversed, right? I'm going to perform a reverse function over here. I'm going to write a reverse function, right? So this is how I'm going to reverse our first row, and it is going to be similar for all the rows. So we're going to iterate it in for loop, and then we're going to perform this reverse function in each and every row, right? So this is how we have to do the reversing part, right? So what actually we are doing in this question is, first of all, I just wanted to make you clear one more time that we're going to take this matrix, and then we're going to reverse this matrix, taking a transpose of this matrix, and then what we're going to do, we're going to reverse this matrix. For transposing, we're going to analyzing this pattern. By analyzing this pattern, we come to know that our I pointer are going to move from 0 to n minus 1, and then our j pointer are going to move from I plus 1 to nth index, right? So this is what our you can say transposing of matrix. And then what we're going to do, we're going to iterate each and every element, and then we're going to reverse each and every row, you can say. We're going to reverse this each and every row, right? So this is how we're going to do it. So let's see the coding part. Okay, first of all, I'm going to take n. There I'm going to store the len of our matrix, right? So len of matrix, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply my for loop for rows, right? For I in range from where to where, we have to start from 0 to n minus 1, right? Okay, so 0 to n minus 1, right? And then we're gonna apply our j for loop again for the columns, right? For j in range, and for j we have to move from I plus 1 to n, right? Okay, so I plus 1 to n. And now what we have to do, we have to do the swapping. Okay, swapping of the elements. So let's do this. Matrix of I or j gonna be a swap, or you can say matrix of j I gonna be swapped. Matrix of j I, right? I'm gonna make it okay, yep. And now it's gonna be swapped with matrix of I, j. Okay, so here we done the reversing of our elements, right? Means here we done our transposing also, right? Transposing of our element. And now what we have to do, we have to reverse. Okay, so first we take the len of our matrix, then we're gonna take our rows, and then we're gonna take our columns, and then we're gonna swap our elements, right? So this is how we're gonna do our transposing. So after transposing, what we have to do, we have to do the reversing. So for that, I'm going to apply again for loop for I in range. It's going to be from 0 to n, all right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to like matrix. I'm going to apply here reverse function, right? So matrix of I dot reverse. right? Yeah. So this is how we have to solve this problem, right? And also our you can say time complexity is going to be your big O of n square. Why big O of n square? Because here we have applied for loop inside for loop, which is going to be big O of n square and plus big O of plus n, right? We are applying one more for loop. So big O of n square plus n, which is approximately going to be equals to big O of n square, right? And also the space complexity of this question is going to be big O of 1 because we are not taking any extra space, right? And I also want to I also want to mention one more point, that if an interviewer going to ask you a question like you are reversing, right, you are rotating this array 90-degree clockwise, right? What if you want if what if you want to reverse, or you can say rotate this matrix by anti-clockwise? Okay, if interview asks that, you have to do the everything same, but here what you have to do is to not to rotate clockwise, instead of that you have to rotate anti-clockwise. Then in that case what you have to do is, all you need to do is to perform the same thing, right? The thing that you have to change is that instead of reversing each and every row, you're gonna have to reverse each and every column, right? So for that, so if you wanted to do it for anti-clockwise, then in that case you have to reverse each and every columns, right? Not rows. And if you are doing for clockwise, then you have to reverse each and every rows, right? So here we're done this question. That's all for today.